Hello all, welcome to this end of a year special episode of the Kūla podcast. Today my guest is writer Jānis Joņevs. Happy New Year again. Thank you. Enjoy.
Hello.
Hello. How was your day?
Oh, it's Monday, yeah. Mondays
Yeah.
are always like very bizarre, yeah. Re-entering the world, yeah. So yeah, that's why I was late. Yeah, I always try to avoid important things in Monday, but okay, this is an exception. This will be fine.
This is not that important, but I understand. Yes, Monday can, as you said, it's just the reminder that the weekend is over, I guess. Yeah.
And I even like for several years already, I'm not going to an office. I have no regular working hours, but still, it's like always Monday is strange. Yeah, I have no like reason to
To complain.
see this day different from others, but yeah, it's like in our blood, I guess, or something.
I agree. But I guess that me too. I don't have to go to an office, but if I did have to go to an office, I would feel the weight of Monday even heavier.
Mhm.
I feel that, but it would be worse. Absolutely. But okay, so let's get to it straight away. Why did you, if you don't mind sharing with me, how do you think? What was one of the things that the things that you remember that got you to write when you were younger? One of the factors, maybe, or more.
Yeah, but well, could be that I don't remember the first motives because my mother told me that already when I was like 6 or 8 years old, I was speaking about writing a book. I don't remember that, but well, when I was a teenager, I used to read a lot, and well, then at one more moment, it's kind of a natural idea to if you like books, then you'd like to create one of your own, yeah. And I always like to listen to stories and tell stories, and well, yeah. But this was very abstract, something in the air, yeah. And I at the age that like most of poets or writers started, let's say at 17, 18, 20 years of age. No, no, I started much later.
Understood. Yeah, I mean there is a factor of I don't know, reading a book that you like, and then there's this idea of emulation as it happens. You feel like, why don't I like this book so much, I can make my own or things like that.
Yeah. And it's like if you could create a story, you see this book is such nice small universe where like different rules, not as the ones we see outside. And yeah, of course, it's a temptation to create a world of your own. Yeah, but when I was like, I don't know, 14, 15, 17, 18 years old, I had some poets and writers as my heroes, and I wanted to be like them, but well, it didn't work out, and I never really found this big idea, big subject, what to write about, and well, and these were metalhead times, and I never told anyone that I'd like to read the books, but okay, they, this guy who is Nave, the death in the book,
I do remember that one, yeah.
yeah, he saw through me, and and once he told me, uh, write about us, how we are passing our time, but some 15 years later, I had to admit that I haven't found a better subject, so I started to do this. This was his advice, but I followed it much later. Yeah, I had this wish to write, but I couldn't find what to write about for a long time. Yeah.
I understand that sometimes there is this kind of pregnancy or wanted to, I don't know if that's the right word, you feel full with stuff, you just want to put it somewhere. But I feel that, sometimes also, like writing a plot, for example, whatever plot, if someone is a new writer or is at the very beginning, it almost feels like you need to have a reason to go back writing. You need to have a reason to finish the page. One of the difficulties that writers might find in general at the beginning could be the fact of actually being able to finish the painting, if not the paragraph or the chapter.
I had pretty much projects, or how do you call them, that I started, but I couldn't end them. Yeah, I couldn't even get to the middle, let's say. But it's like these ideas were like pretty original and so, but it led me nowhere. Yeah. But okay, there's in one story, and I think when I was 18 years old, I tried to write a story about a guy whose left leg is kind of getting sort of paralyzed, and okay, that's the very beginning, but I couldn't like really do anything with that stuff. And the idea was that the guy feels that his left leg kind of disobeys his order, and it was my case. I had some problems, and I received 30 injections, and everything was okay. But then I thought, what if like all of my body starts to disobey and moves on its own way? And I tried to do something with this idea, but okay, it didn't work out. But now, like 20 years later, I made a story out of it. It's published in my story collection, The Tiger. Yeah, so all the ideas somehow helped me still. Yeah.
Sometimes it can happen that at the very beginning of the journey into learning how to write or be more confident with the mean, writers can start writing something that they cannot finish or they cannot continue. But if you go back to those beginnings, maybe after 5 or 6 years or 7 years of writing, you have a different approach with writing, and maybe you more I don't know what could be the word. You more what is the word?
Skilled or maybe experienced.
You give and you give less of a shit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, could be that. Yeah.
Because I think it's still a question. It's not I don't know what I'm talking about, but it feels that when you're really young, maybe you're more judgmental towards yourself, even if you're more free. Somehow you feel more
this writings of young people, it's like constant this battle between something very trivial or banal and something really original, because I think that later I always had this, I wanted to avoid any kind of schools of writing and courses and lectures, because I had this intuitive I was afraid that this learning teaching makes us all a little similar, and sometimes I see it, and young people don't have it. But sometimes they start very early this learning. But this, of course, lack of learning also is a risk of repeating all the banal mistakes what other writers have done before you. Well, but it all depends what you read mostly, I guess. And sometimes it was like in my days, all the reading people who loved to read were mostly reading the same books. And we kind of, and when we wanted to write something, it was kind of similar, the same, because we had the same idols, the same approach to the world.
No, it feels that.
I was always afraid of also reading a book with a title "How to Write a Good Novel." Yeah, I never read one. I was now. Okay, I read these some advices, like these were 10 or 8 advices in writing by George Orwell.
Well, okay.
And this is a very short passage,
Yeah.
so it didn't do me no harm, I hope.
Oh no, well, I'm sure he hasn't. I also imagine advice from George Orwell being maybe more unusual than like, oh, this is the way, this is the 3 moments narrative would drop. Maybe there is something a bit more.
No, he was super precise, super practical. One thing that I remember, and I see it so often. Maybe it was considered a mistake by him, by George Orwell. Maybe it's nothing universal, but he said that if you've seen some figure of speech, joke, metaphor, or whatever printed somewhere, then never use it. That's today. I would say if you've seen it on the internet, don't use it because it's you can hope that the reader won't recognize it, but they will.
They will, of course. It's like we know Bruno Mars even if we don't listen to his music, probably.
And people do it very often, I think. Yeah. Repeating these eternal jokes and grabbing for like what seems very contemporary sometimes. Well, one of my personal advice is to me that I always try to avoid very actual contemporary subjects. Well, but this summer I wrote about Ukraine, so yeah. But this is one case when you have to break your own rules.
Orwell, because I really like him, and one thing that I like about the prose that he has been like some sort of journalistic or like non-fiction, everything fiction, post-apocalyptic, whatever. What I like about him is the kind of mixed prose or pastiche that he has, because he can maybe be vulgar on one side, and in the same sentence he could use it's almost like his own unique DNA, and it's all kind of weird and balanced. And that I'm not trying to brown nose you, but I haven't read a lot of you, but I remember when I used to live in England, some translation of Jelgava 94 in English, because my Latvian, I'm still learning. So I couldn't read you. I couldn't read you in Latvian. But one thing that struck me that I enjoy when I read a book is when I see in a sentence or in some passages or in a paragraph a lot of colors, a lot of different languages, like swearing or the use of maybe some I don't know, some words that maybe are a bit more sophisticated together with swearing. I like that balance very much.
Yeah, no, this in my case, it was this contrast between this nice guy who likes to read and who loves poetry enters this world of gore and about George Orwell, I start to think how for example, this book in 1984, of course, which is a classic dystopian novel and so on, but I think it has maybe the most beautiful scene of confession in love that I've ever read. It's not the most important thing in that book, this love story between Winston and Julia, but how she confesses that she loves him. I think it's so masterfully and wonderfully done, and maybe because it's so unexpected. This is you read a dystopian novel and then suddenly this love scene that this I like also about George Orwell, how he can surprise you.
So there is something conservatory, like a conservatory scene of confessing your love in something that is totally innovative like 1984. I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, and I like when things happen like kind of unexpectedly, and that's why, for example, today I'm not really into stand-up comedy because I love jokes, but this is something that where you start to listen to this guy, and you know there will be joke and joke and joke,
Oh, yeah.
and this you know that this will arrive. Yeah, just start laughing. But I like when joke appears somehow out of nowhere. But well, this is my personal approach, and comedy as a genre has existed like thousands of years. Yeah, but,
Yeah.
well,
Oh, you like the spontaneity of it. I understand. But that's why sometimes there are some stand-up comedian, the one that are more unorthodox, or maybe that actually they look like your funny friend on the table. I mean, it's still written. You still know that it's comedy, so it lacks the factor that you like. You like spontaneity, you like surprise, you like the joke at the right moment, which cannot happen necessarily in stand-up, but because it's an act, stand-up pretty much. But some of them, like for example, early Richard Pryor, or usually in United States, the ones that I like, the early ones, they look like almost like drunks ranting. You know, which is, I understand, is written, it's totally reenacted, but some of them can really do it like by flowing. Or one thing that I don't like comedy in sketches too much. I try to watch some, for example, Russian comedy, which I understand is good, which even if I don't understand Russian, but I understand the Russian comedy has some history and is particularly good. But I got a problem. You got a problem with stand-up. I got a problem with sketches sometimes. I find them a bit too silly. But
but no, well, that's how it is, I guess. Yeah, and
yeah. So let me ask you another question. Now, like usually with writers, and everybody is unusual in his own way, but there are themes that always stay in your writing or in your prose. Like if we take the early works, like if we take Jelgava 94, there are some themes, some thema or some themes over there. The themes of those days, did they survive to the latest production somehow, to the latest works? Those characters, did they survive up to different short stories in the collection of Tigris or somehow? Or...
Well, I have published just 3 books, so my catalog is not very long. But okay, the 2 of them in last 2 years. Yeah, for like 7 years, Jelgava was the only book. So the question like that would make any sense. But now, okay, 3 books, and I can somehow answer this question. Yeah, but you see, it's not much, and of course these motifs are still there. And well, my very last book, the December, which is like a true crime novel, small book, but it's again about 90s. But it's my friends say, so you're like monopolizing 90s, but well, I found this story, this true crime story by accident, and it somehow happened to be in the 90s. But well, maybe if I wasn't so fond about these 90s, I wouldn't have sticked with the story so much. So yeah. So 2 out of 3 books are about 90s in my case. So it's like cannot deny it. But well, yeah.
But that could be the... Sorry.
These characters kind of... Well, yeah, I'm not sure I have the distance enough to speak about some psychological or emotional features. I'm too close to it, and but I know that there are some motifs, some lines that are still going on. Yeah, and but well, no, it would be too much analyzing myself. Yeah.
Yeah, understood. And also probably is something that you do subconsciously. So
Yeah. And you say, no, I'm
Yeah.
totally different in every new book, but
Yeah.
I guess that's not like that.
Yeah. I mean, there are some writers, for example, that think about the time when they left their home, and that's the same time when they started writing, and somehow they so affectionate to this genuine thought of escape and leaving home that somehow this idea survives in different characters differently. But probably they will react the same way that you're reacting when you ask him, do you know if any theme survived to the latest? You're too close. You're probably right. You're too close to it to see it. Do you see sometimes, like in everyday's life around, I don't know, reading the news, or I don't know, but just observing people around you? Like me and you would like to go to a coffee place, maybe look around. And probably it's the same at Cadet de Gascogne over there.
Yeah,
And
it's
do you?
well.
Yeah, we saw each other there. And do you sometimes do you see something around you that kind of inspires you somehow, like movements, a joke, something that happens around you that inspires you in terms of writing?
It's close, but I know, yeah, and it sure inspires sometimes. And this coffee place, well, in fact the name has changed. It used to
It's
be
Troubadour,
Cadet de
yeah.
Gascogne, now it's Troubadour Gourmand, I guess.
Yes.
But still, like, the the real visitors still call it Cadet.
But that's what happened, by the way. Sorry, very quickly. Some people started saying, "Oh, let's go and see each other at Troubadour." I said, "What is that?" I said, "I just know Cadet de Gascogne." But yeah, same place. Go ahead, please.
Well, yeah, and I sometimes I like it. I find this place pretty inspiring. But okay, it's close to my place, and in this coffee place, I like that there are. Well, I have my favorite bar, Aleponi
Nice.
or Che or Balderai, but I always know what to expect there. There are people more or less like me who are going there. I know them, most of them, and I know how it's. But in this coffee place, there come so different people, like old guys and school people. Yeah, like very young people, and
Yeah.
sometimes you hear very strange conversations that I've never heard anywhere else. Like, and this place has some kind of poetic features. I like when it's almost empty, and there is this silent music, and it's sort of like nothing happens, but this is how action movies start, I think. Yeah, it's this small empty cafe and silent music, and somebody enters. I like this feeling, but this is like, I think this old guy Hemingway wrote that writers like to be in public places because they're looking for interesting conversations, for inspiration, for like catching a phrase or a plot line or what. And but this I try to be attentive with that, because it's like it's a little like stealing your own life for the sake of literature. Yeah, no, I'm not here just to find a story. I'd like to enjoy this place just like that, like everybody. And
Yeah.
I've seen it in one writer, a girl. I think she always went everywhere just looking for a story, and sometimes she tried to escalate things, but I said, no, you're doing just because of writing. You're not doing this for real. And try not to steal your own life. Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, kind of complicated answer, but
No, but I get it. Especially when you named your favorite pubs to hang around. I like almost the same, or hang
No,
around
but
there.
I love them, and I'll go there
No,
today. But
I do as well. I just liked what you said, because if I look around me at that time of the night, in the evening, I'm having a beer, and I'm surrounded by people that almost look like a dressed like me, and but the coffee place, the coffee place, Cadè de Gascogne or Troubadour or whatever, is almost like standing in the traffic. I mean, in a sense, like it feels like almost like it's a window to the how different Riga is. Whereas when we go and hang around in La Bietis, for example, I don't know, whatever, I just it's a different mood. It's a different situation. It's not, and you're not supposed to study that. I'm not, there necessarily there to Cadè de Gascogne to when taking notes but it's more about living the city during the day, and seeing groups of people that you wouldn't normally be around with them, and that's the idea of a French bar, or even in Italy is a bit like that. It feels kind of more in France maybe, but yeah. Another weird question. Are you ready?
Yeah. Sure. I am ready. Yeah.
Right. So you moved to Riga, I presume, after the 90s, maybe, because you were a teenager in the 90s up to.
I think I arrived in Riga at 99, 98 maybe.
98.
Well, no, I started my studies, but I was still at the weekends. I was going back to Jelgava, I guess.
To Jelgava. How do you like? Is Jelgava still a source of inspiration? How do you look at it after 1998, 2022? Have you built some sort of? Do you go to Jelgava with your mind sometimes? Like there's a nostalgia, even if it's just, what is it, 1 hour and a half away? I don't know, but.
It's even closer. It's 1
even
hour.
Closer.
45 kilometers. It's like nothing. Yeah.
Is there a portal when you go there? Like almost, do you feel like there is a portal that you travel back in time still, or how do you feel now?
It somehow is, and I like when sometimes I meet my old friends, and I like to take a short walk, but there is this nostalgia, yeah. And I written a short story about Jelgava this year. It was published in one French anthology of European literature, and it was called Jelgava again. Because like I couldn't get out of it, and I found another stories. Yeah, but at the same time, I know that if I'd like to take a long walk in Jelgava, I could maybe walk for an hour, and then I don't know a bar where to enter there, and I'm already lost. No, I could go to my old friend's place, but not like in 90s. Just go there. I have to call him, and we make a meeting like a week before. But I love Jelgava, and I still like to walk there, but I'm already a stranger there, I guess. Yeah.
It feels that like sometimes when I go back to the place where I grew up, I get this. Even if maybe some corners remind me not necessarily of good memories, but now after so much time, I feel like a super lucky that I can feel something when I go back. Like if I'm in a bus or driving a car, maybe driving by a corner where I used to play, or maybe I remember a certain situation over there, it feels like almost a blessing that I feel almost like electrocuted by it. And it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and sometimes there are these places which are like full of memories, and I'm even afraid to go there because I know that this memory will like electrocute me, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. Yeah, yeah. I think the very very corners I still leave like that. I prefer not to go there. The most important little corners, because well, memories are painful because it reminds you that your life is gone, a big part of it. Yes.
Yeah. When I was watching the movie, and I was getting more and more. I just arrived in Latvia, and I was getting more and more familiar with the trope of going with your friends to drink in the woods and smoke cigarettes. And it was so much better than us in Italy, because in Italy we used to do it in a parking lot of a shopping mall. But I like the idea that in Latvia, in the same days, not inside the shopping mall, outside in the parking lot, which is pretty grim if you think about it. With like a friend of yours, maybe with a Clio, the car open with a bit of Gigi D'Agostino music or Unz, and smoking cigarettes and drinking like that. But how beautiful it is to transfer that place in the woods, in the Latvian forest. It sounds, at least for me, because the neighbor's grass is always greener.
Yeah, sure. But I love how COVID, Corona pandemics threw us back into that, because when pubs were closed, I, with my girlfriend and our company, we rediscovered drinking in parks in Jānis.
Beautiful.
And even in wintertime. And it was like we were like too old for this stuff like 10 years ago. But now the situation is that no, we are not too old for that. Let's go and have some beers in a park. And and it still works. It's still okay. Yeah.
Oh, it is beautiful. I mean, there is also a element of intimacy with that, because I don't know anybody. Well, maybe I know one person, maybe Uldis, but he's always busy. But I don't know anybody here that would come and have a drink with me in, for example, what is one of my favorite parks? I don't know. But I don't know. I like Torņakāns a lot, but if there is a park.
But okay, Jānis is just
near, over there.
It was,
but like I don't know. There is a level of intimacy with just getting some beers and just going to instead of going to the bar, just going outside, and it's nice, and it's also cheaper, which I appreciate.
It's cheaper, but then and it has all its lots of these always repeating features that at one point you start to seek for a toilet spot, and
which I do when I drink beer. I become incontinent. I go every 5 minutes. I'm a bit.
But then you have to find a nice place in the park where there are some bushes near you or something, and you know that drinking alcohol is illegal in streets. Or maybe they are again changing that. But during this time in Jānis, I know that before these pandemics, the police people were pretty present in the park, and at the very start they were chasing these homeless people, because it was like forbidden to be in groups of 3. There were these rules were changing all the time, and they were like dispersing these homeless people. Don't make groups and so on. These are guys who never listened to radio, I think, for last years, but later police started to be like they understood the situation very well, I guess. And when we were drinking in park, we saw police cars making circles around the park, but they never entered. They understood well that some people are having beers, but let it be so. We know that bars are closed, so let people have their beers while they're doing nothing crazy.
I like when a policeman takes the law in his hands or her hands and just makes his own conclusion. That's nice. Yeah.
And there was this one situation when I think how the tables turned when there is this one metalhead bar, metal music bar, Zovens and Lemes at Annas Street, near Miera iela, Annas Street, Adriana iela. Yeah, okay.
Is it still there? Does it still exist? Ah, yes, of course, I know the place. It's close to, one second, it's close to...
Labi, is not far away.
It's not far from the old disco there used to be in the Saints. Not far away from the chocolate factory, and not far away.
It's
not far away from a workshop where they do ceramic, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just in front. There is some kind of creativity house. Well, but this place, when the pubs were closed, then this place was opened. They announced on Facebook that now we're open, but just as a shop, just as a shop. You can. The pub is closed, but you can come here and buy a beer. Okay, on the very first day, lots of people arrived, and the owner said, no, normally you take your beer and goodbye. You go home. You're not allowed to drink here. But of course, nobody is hurrying home. So we just outside this shop on the street, we opened our beers, one another, and this terrace is still there. They have these chairs, and we're taking our places. But it's kind of illegal. It's the same that we are drinking in the streets. We said, oh, fuck that shit. Let's do it. Let's drink on the streets. And we are buying these beers in a bar and then drinking like on the street. And I saw that this situation, if I compare to 90s, then we didn't go to the bars because it was too expensive. So we took cheap beer and drank it on the streets, risking that police will fine us. But now it's like opposite. We're paying this. We're taking this expensive beer from the bar and drinking it on the streets, risking. So it's somehow changed.
Within the price of the beer, there is the right to. There is the cost of the bar. Almost. We throw it in the bin, and we go out. Absolutely. And
it was the same thing at Labiets at this time, but in Labiets they have this huge terrace, and there was one evening I think there were 100 people. It was like festival, and police arrived, but they can do nothing. They just switched off these car lights.
The lights.
To scare people away, but it didn't work very well. But it was interesting how
I see.
And now it seems pretty far away already.
Yeah. During the pandemic, I was looking forward for the pandemic to be over. In my head, I don't know, just I felt like the day that is going to be over, I will feel like I'm celebrating. I totally went. It got by me. I didn't notice because the war started.
And now we think COVID was okay. In fact.
Yeah, absolutely. And but one thing that maybe the pandemic, I don't know, it got me a bit more productive in terms of being creative or just spending time in the house. This podcast is a product of the pandemic because I need to go out. I need to go to a coffee place. I need to go out and have a beer. But I felt that I had to make it happen in the house. But how did it change you, the pandemic, in your routine? Did you change connected with the writing or in general?
Well, as I'm not going to my office anymore, so my life didn't change at all. I was still sitting at my place, my table. And when it all started, I was living in Mūrnieku iela in Grīziņkalns.
Beautiful. Close to
a very nice place. But some friend wrote me a message. But you take a walk in Riga. The streets are empty. This was this time when we had like 6 people in day infected, but everyone was real afraid. And for some week, people really stayed at their places. And he told me, have you seen these super empty streets in Riga? But I took a look outside of my window at this Mūrnieku street. Yes, there were no people, but it's like always.
It's always like that,
Yeah, there are maybe one guy walking, but mostly it's empty. So I said, no way. I feel no difference, and I staying all the day at my place. No difference. But at one point, it started to kind of hurt me still, and it would be nice to go to an office again. When your biggest entertainment is to go to Rimi, and you're happy to go to supermarket. Still,
I was happy to go to Rimi. It was the highlight of the day.
To see others, to show yourself.
Those simple things like wearing different colors, just going out, or but I don't know. It feels that I think that Riga was one of the best places to spend during the pandemic because, as you said, apart from Grīziņkalns, even even more close to the center or other areas. Like Milan, for example, suffered a lot. Like my brother lives in Milan, and Milan, to see Milan empty when it's always full with people, the shock is bigger, and probably
Yeah,
even.
but you had in Milan, you had this real lockdown. In Riga, it was
Yeah,
never so harsh.
never, but yeah, there was a point though. There was a bit of a curfew, but yeah, in Milan it was a bit more extreme. You're totally right. But let's suppose even if it had been stricter in Riga, it wouldn't have been that different. It was more about the knowledge, knowing that it was different. It was more about I want to go. I had these weird ideas of now it's 2 a.m. No, it's 2 a.m. It's 10 a.m. on a Saturday. I want to go to Teatra bar for a couple of beers. And I couldn't do that. But I wouldn't normally do it anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even before the pandemic, I love that place too.
And this is
Somehow.
when I was walking by Avot Street and I saw that this Club Phoenix, this gambling place,
Oh yeah.
even this is closed, and I like.
Yeah.
It's not my place, but this view somehow made me sad that even Phoenix, the last escape for lonely people in the night, even this is closed. So what's going on?
That's when I realized that it was serious, when I saw Phoenix closing, actually, because there was one underneath the house just over there. And also I had this Phoenix always reminded me of the early days in Riga where I just arrived and it was closed everywhere. And with my friends, we don't know how to gamble. With a couple of friends, we used to go there to smoke cigarettes and drink beer. So there was
Oh,
at
yeah,
3
it's allowed to smoke in there.
Yeah, yeah. But how beautiful. I mean, you were talking about the area where there is that metal bar. We should say what's the name of that metal bar. What is it? I can't remember.
It's Zobens un Lemes.
Zoba and Sulemes. That area of Riga, like in between Mieriela and towards, like even before the German cemetery, I don't know, I guess,
Yeah.
Hospitalio Jela, those are beautiful places just to walk around with a beer, quiet.
Hospital Iela has a very special sound to our ears. You know that this band, there is Latvian. Okay, it doesn't exist anymore, but it was like super. Okay, in underground, very famous underground band, Hospital Iela.
Right, wasn't it by from the 80s or?
No. It's they started in the late 90s and the beginnings of 2000s were their prime time. And this was a very nice band. I went to like every concert for some time. And
I didn't know them. No.
no, but it's like this is underground stuff, yeah.
Oh,
But
right. Okay, yeah. So of course I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not metal. It's more like.
Or like
It had some pretty reggae sounding, but well,
it's like
once
ska.
again, it was not my genre, but I I loved it a lot, yeah. And so I'll always like, if I have a possibility walking in this area, I always try to take a little walk by Hospital because it's like
Yeah.
reminds me of all these festivals, but it's just a name.
Which pretty much, wait a second, also it happened, I don't know if it was Hospitalio Jela, but there was this around Hospitalio Jela this autumn or at the end of summer, there was a corner over there, not Hospitalio Jela, a parallel, where they put on a stage and there were bands playing between.
Yeah. I remember
Not too
that.
far.
Maybe it was even on Hospital. I don't
Yeah.
know. But well, I didn't go there because it's like too much. If there's a concert, there should be Hospital playing, but it's not
Yeah.
possible. So I didn't go there.
This city, it just like sometimes, like it's got all these realities. For example, I really
Yeah.
like.
This is like when I think that this is what I like. Getting older, when you take a walk or a ride in a city, and like there are less and less streets or houses that are not connected with some memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like Hospital. Yeah, it's not just a street for me. It's a street that reminds me of that. And this house is not just a house. It's the house where happened that and that. And this is the corner where I felt the most lonely in my life, and this is his park where I felt happy, and this is place where lived old friend who is now like in Ireland, and yeah, you create like your own topography, your own map in your memories about the city.
Yeah. I even for somebody that lived here less than you, like for me, I've been here for 4 years, but I have these places that I like to go. And I like to go there, and I feel lucky that I don't live close to these places. For example, I like to go to Tornjakans, which is the other side of the river. And every time that I go there, it doesn't matter if I'm on my own, I feel weirdly, I'm using the word happy is not the right word. Happy is not the right word, but there is something happening when I go to these places. I don't have memories there. The only memories that I have is me being there for the 10th time on my own.
Yeah, but Tornjakans is special.
It is special. There is this idea, not just Tornikans, even, I don't
I
know.
lived for some 3 years in Typogrāfijas iela.
Wow, that's one of the most beautiful over there. There is this bar. Once I was in this bar just by the weird bar, probably from the 90s. There was this bar just by the, Tornjakalna church. Then maybe by the bridge, there was this bar over there. They would look into a park or something. And just by being there, well, you just have to be there once. You feel I'm going to use the word romantic. Pass me the word romantic. Tornjakans might feel like that. You go there once, and then the fact that you have to cross the bridge with your bicycle to go far away from where you live, you almost feel like a child going to a candy shop. I feel so excited about going to those places. I don't know why. I don't have any history in it.
Yeah.
But maybe they connect with some idea of decadent idea that I had a bit.
But
I think
I've
maybe when I was younger in Italy, I associate maybe places that look like a bit abandoned but romantic. I don't know what is it.
I've always been a little scared to go to these super local
Oh yeah, me too. I
small
was.
pubs.
Yeah.
But it's like the heritage of 90s when you knew
Yeah.
that every quartier, every area in the city has its own rules, and if you're not local, then be attentive. And every small town has its own rules. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that it has changed, but if I arrive, I don't know in
Well,
Talsi or whatever, I'm always paying attention to a little pub if I'm going there and looking around.
that's exactly how I felt. I didn't go in because I was on my own, and I'm a foreigner. So if it's not the 90s that I didn't live here, it's the fact that I can see that it's a bit dodgy, and I'm a foreigner on my own. So I'm not gonna. Sometimes I feel like I would go in, sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I'm a bit crazy too. I do that. But there was another one close to Ospitalu Iela that are still around. These places with Verieni written outside, with the curtain slightly pulled down, close to the church. There is this wooden church close to Ospitalu Iela. I don't know where, maybe exactly. But there is this little place in the corner that he has half a curtain down. It's open, but it's dark inside, or you can find, you see what I'm talking about. There are still around these places.
I remembered one place on this Avotu street, which was like, but towards the church. But and when I was living in Mūrniekīla and I was still working in an office at that time, and every day I was walking by Avotu iela to my job, and then evening I went back again by Avotu iela. And there was this one bar which was called just it still exists. It was just written Alus and open. And I was often pretty late for my job, and it was like kind of 10 o'clock or even more when I went to my job, and I saw that this bar is already open.
It's already
and
open.
I thought I'd like not to go to my job but go there, but okay. And an evening when I went back, the bar was already closed. It had kind of office-like working hours.
Yes.
So I never entered that, but it was and it was always closed with these curtains, and I never seen what's happening inside. It's a nice place, but it still exists. Maybe I should go there someday.
there was a interesting atmosphere of fusion of different realities when there was a buffet number 9 in that one had like white collars from the center, sometimes like young lawyers, sometimes he had people from the station, Bomza, allow me the term. And then you had everything all together, and then they would play Bagata Kunze soundtrack. You would play Novus, and that one was really a melting. I miss that place a bit.
Yeah, but well, yeah. I've been there just a couple of times, but and maybe it was pretty crowded, as I remember.
It was, and you had to be careful too because they were a different crowd. But somehow I like a bit more these places, even if I wouldn't go inside all of them. Then just sometimes I'm fed up with going to Labietis or going to the hipstery place. But I feel very happy in those places. But they lack they lack genuinity.
There are evenings when I need a place where I know what to expect.
Yeah. I want to see some real people sometimes. But I'm not saying that people that work in these places are not real, clearly. But I want to see a bit of trace of the past around. I want to see some history.
Yeah. Well, but there are, I don't know, which is like the oldest bar in Riga still in action. I know that this Irish pub in Vecriga, it was opened in 1994, but it could be maybe the oldest school, like still in business. But well, it's a huge Irish bar, Irish pub. But I remember when we went there, like students, and it was a big thing, this Irish pub. But now it's now it's just an Irish pub again.
Now it feels a bit like an airport, like many places in the center. In many cities in Europe, not just Riga. It feels like I don't mind going to Vecriga. I feel that it's got its own atmosphere and almost like a portal. So you go there, it feels different. But those bars, they lost the charm of the 90s. They lost it a bit, in my opinion. And
they have a different charm, which is not for us
not surviving.
It's for other people now.
They lost it for me, but if I'm drunk enough, I gotta go somewhere, I'll go there.
Yeah, it still happens. Yeah, of course.
I'm not squeamish. My friend, you said 1 hour. I don't want to rob you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for the chat.
Well, you're Italian, yeah, I guess so. Yes, you are. But recently, I have one article published in Italian newspaper. But I don't know, The Passenger, something like that.
The Passenger, like Il Messaggero, maybe the Messenger, maybe.
Maybe
the name of the newspaper is called The Passenger, or
I should have a look, but it's not like a. Well, I'll see if it's published already, and if it is, I'll send it to you because I speak about places in Riga in there.
Oh, perfect, nice, absolutely.
This kind of our conversation remind me about that. So
please do.
I'll see because it's already translated. It's passing to publication, but I'm not super sure. But it should be published in these days. So I'll send it
and maybe
to
you. One of these days we're gonna give each other a bit of courage, and me and you, we're gonna step in one of these 1990s places and have a beer. Who knows?
Yep.
Right. Okay, Jānis. Well, probably I'm gonna see you in the Troubadour by chance one of these days.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Visu Lapo.
Thank you. Ciao.
If you'd like to join me as my next guest here at the Kūla podcast, and you have anything to do with Latvia, please contact me on YouTube and we'll make it happen. Thank you.